Hey, what's up, guys? It's Michael from Family Gamer Review, and today we are going to play Pac-Man. Well, Miss Pac-Man, excuse me. Miss Pac-Man is an interesting game, and before you even ask, why are we playing Miss Pac-Man versus Pac-Man, and why was there 7 minutes of silence as you see me play Pac-Man, is because as you get older, you forget to take the mute button and forget to turn it back on. So I was muted for the first several minutes. Luckily, I didn't say anything that was inappropriate or anything that would bite me in the butt later on, but again, this is where, sometimes when I play like Gears of War with my friends and I'm yelling at them to get on a turret, they're wondering why am I not saying anything for 30 levels because I forget that I took it not off of mute. In any case, Miss Pac-Man, just with any of the Pac-Man series, is a game in which about patternization. And this is why this is on our Light of the Blue challenge, because one of the main reasons why is Pac-Man itself is one of those games that is considered a classic. Number two, it was not just Pac-Man, but it was Miss Pac-Man that not only broke the gender barrier in gaming, because she was the first main female character that was mainstream. This is before Lara Croft or, Chun-Li from Street Fighter. It was Miss Pac-Man. She's like the OG of the gender barriers. So that being said, the main reason why, and I'll get into this, is especially with children with autism, and as we did our playtest and so forth, we did a review about Miss Pac-Man about a couple of years back, and I noticed that my son Brandon, who has autism, he picked up the game, and he was able to play the game a lot more comfortably than he was like something like, oh god, like I would say maybe Halo or Call of Duty or something that is more complex in its button scheme. He was able to pick Pac-Man up and play this like it was no one's business. And it was very surprising because he's never seen the game before. He's never heard of Pac-Man. He doesn't know what it is. But it was all about patterns. And one of the things that got his interest was the fact that the patterns on the board, from the pellets, the way they're laid out, and so forth. What makes Miss Pac-Man on this list before Pac-Man is the fact that when the game was developed, in Pac-Man, the game board itself, the levels are the same level, same patterns, same everything. After every several levels in Miss Pac-Man, the board changes. And that was like back then in the 80s, this is dating myself, this was a big factor. And for children with autism or any type of special needs where it's behavioral issues or any type of issue in which patternization is something that is key, this is where we noticed that during our playtesting, that this is where everyone loved it. And people that have never played Pac-Man were picking up Pac-Man, beating the levels, doing everything that a pro player would do. And I talked to two behavioral specialists, one, that works with Boston University, and another that's here in New Jersey, and they both said it was because of the patterns of the way the boards are laid out. And I first, again, it was an issue. I said, wait a minute, it's Pac-Man. But they said no. In a mind of a child or a person with autism, the board patterns make more sense. How everything is laid out, how everything flows. And when you see professional players play Pac-Man or do speed runs, she actually pointed out to me that you see them, they're going based on patternization. They're not going after the ghost monsters or going after points. They're actually going based on like how a train is on a track, so is the pellets on the board for Pac-Man. And to them, it makes more sense to logically go after the pellets in this manner. Now, tomorrow, when we play Pac-Man Championship Edition, another variation of the Pac-Man series that's on our Light It Up Blue challenge, you're going to see where that factor comes in. Like why Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 was more of an autistic-friendly game for most of our, players with autism, because, patternization is key in that game. But in this factor, this is why, we wanted it on here. A special note. A couple of weeks ago, myself and Camille, we went to go see the Power Ranger movie. And one of the things that we enjoyed a lot was that the producers and the creators of the show, the movie itself, decided to make the Blue Ranger, on the spectrum of autism. So there's a scene in the beginning of the movie where he is actually in detention, and I don't want to go into spoiling the scene, but he has his color pencils that he's working on laid out in a pattern. And two of the guys that we went with, they were great friends of ours. We went with them to watch the movie. They could not understand why that, this kid would have, the color pencils laid out in that manner. And when we had to explain it to him, we had to use the analogy of Pac-Man, how things are laid out, So that, for someone like us, it just seems like he's being very neat or he's being very, organized. But to him, it makes more sense to have these things laid out. So when someone, like when my son played Pac-Man, he was able to say to me, Dad, this is why you need to go this way because this is the flow of the power pellets, just like Thomas the Train. And when he explained that to me, it was like an amazement of how, I'm not no medical expert in autism, but when you see his style of thinking, it opened up in my horizon on better understanding of autism and so forth. And I really I know this game's an old game, guys, but I really wanted to showcase why, especially if you have a gaming member in your family that is on the spectrum, a simple game like this could make such a big difference. And especially when it comes to children and confidence, a child feels more confidence when they are able to work at something and succeed by saying, I conquered this, I did this. You should see the excitement in a child's eyes, when they fought hard to work on something and then all of a sudden they're able to, beat a level. And you see this. To us, it's like, okay, whatever, we beat a level and we're going to go on to the next. But to a child, the sense of accomplishment of saying, if I could do this, imagine what else I can do. And that's the thing about gaming. It could, broaden you to horizons of like saying, hey, I beat a hard level, or I conquered this, or I did this in a game that I thought I couldn't do. And it is a better feeling than a sense of failure. And Pac-Man gives this type of sense. Like when he played it, he was happy that he got this far into the game, or he was able to get all 4 ghost monsters on one try, on each pellet, 4 times in one game. And he was so excited, like he would say to me, Dad, I did it. Look at this. I got that. And then I got the strawberry right afterwards. And I'm like, that's great. I can't even do that much. That just shows you like how Daddy's so deconditioned in Pac-Man. And, he laughed and he just said to me that you just got to practice and you'll get it, And here I am just, taking advice from my son on Pac-Man. But, it is something that makes a lot of sense. Now, I feel I talk too much. So what I'm going to do is restart this level. I'm going to bring in. Well, things that Camille just asked. One of the major things that made Miss Pac-Man different from Pac-Man, that it was a female, hero that was in the game. Another thing was that the boards were changing. There was a glitch in the original Pac-Man. If you went past level 255, it will glitch the game and you won't be able to play it no more. Where they try to fix the glitch at Miss Pac-Man, but I think unfortunately with the original builds, it was still there because of coding. But that's all tech term at that point. So I'm going to pause this for a quick second and I'm going to hand the headset over to Camille so I can try to concentrate and do a better score. Give me 1 second.
Oh, okay, it's not muted. Good. That helps. Good stuff. So hey everybody, this is Camille from Family Gamer Review, and just a few thoughts to add to what Michael was talking about. We try to really get into the mindset of every game that we review or put on our list, or if we recognize it, we take that very seriously and we make sure it's very legit. And one of the things that really, really impressed me today was I had no idea how deep was Michael's understanding of how Pac-Man, the series, first came about and how it evolved into Miss Pac-Man and then Championship Edition, which he'll be twitching tomorrow night. And I hope he does tell you a little bit more about the history of it. But when it did come out, as simplistic as the game may seem, it was a huge hit in the special needs community. And it was very common. I mean, one of the things is that no 2 people who are on the spectrum are alike. Even if they fall under the same so-called labels of high functioning or nonverbal or verbal or what have you, they're like snowflakes, like anyone else. No two people are exactly alike. But when it came to the Pac-Man series, there was a common thread in the special needs community in that it seemed to be something at which special needs gamers really excelled, and they were able to see through the patterns in a way that a lot of people could not. And when I look at a game personally, and granted, I am by no means a special needs behavioralist or anything of the sort. I do have some of a child psychology background, but that's at the undergrad level. But I try to look for aspects in the game that can help a gamer at any age with skills, then definitely developmental skills. And I remember working for a toy company when I did a lot of work with someone from the organization Able Play, which certifies special needs friendly toys. And they had a fabulous scale that gave things a score on cognitive, sensory, physical, communication, and social. And I will be the first to admit that there are other games on our 30-day Light It Up Blue challenge that may get higher scores in other categories, but Pac-Man is sort of, well, excuse me, Miss Pac-Man, possibly even the Pac-Man Championship Edition, are extremely high on the cognitive scale because of the patternization, the variation, the fact that there is variation, constraints of patternization, and for so many special needs kids, that just has perfect for cognitive skills written all over it. And that's what really pleases me about a great family-friendly game, is when I see that whether it's special needs beneficial or not, it's doing something to help the player. It's not just a mindless gameplay. And one of the things I feel compelled to do this year is to look a lot more into the research behind video games and special needs kids specifically, because if you check out a blog on our website at familygamerreview.com, I believe it was called Should You Let Your Kids Play During the School Week? And we were very surprised at how much research we found, very high-level research, about the benefits within certain boundaries, of course. I mean, no 5-hour sessions on a school night, but in moderation, the way that it was very much like the equivalent of a parent coming from home from work and having a glass of wine or blowing off steam. And when it comes to special needs friendly games, it really sparks my interest in how many additional benefits there could be to video gaming. Because there are some that do help with those communication skills, and there are some that, you know, obviously none are really going to rank on that physical scale, but that's something that everyone needs, not special needs or otherwise. But some of these games can really do a lot for the developmental skills of any kid, and especially special needs kids. And if this helps leverage their strengths, I think the stigmas in our society have taught us too much to look at the perceived weaknesses of special needs rather than looking at the strengths. And some of our most brilliant engineers, mathematicians, economists, governmental advisors are people who, you may not know it, but they are somewhere on the spectrum because they have exceptional abilities to think in certain ways. And if we can start seeing the strengths rather than perceived weaknesses and start building on those strengths through something that's really fun and engaging and makes a family happy, then to me, there's nothing better. That's better than tiramisu. That is debatable. Tiramisu is pretty good. But it would elate me. And I think I already know what I'm going to find, but I won't speculate until I actually dig, sink my teeth into some good research. But it was funny. Mike, do you mind if I talk the story about the mom after that article came out? So a couple weeks after we had published that article about should you let your child game during the school week, Michael was actually in the parking lot at one of our local game stops, and on his way in, a woman approached him. It was funny, she was sort of waving one arm in the air and saying, "Hey, aren't you the gamer guy? Aren't you the gamer guy?" And he had a puzzled look on his face, but he said, "Well, I guess you could say that. I've been called worse." And she said, "I read the blog, and her son has pretty high-level ADHD. And previously, she presumed that it would not be healthy for him to game during the school week. And as expected, he had behavioral problems that go with the territory. And after she read that article, she actually tested it. She started to let him game, nothing that would enrage him too much or be too frustrating, but games sort of like this, engaging, fun, and for 1 hour a night, he got to game. And after she said about the first week, he started to be very calm at dinner. He wasn't having outbursts. And by the end of the first week, going into the second week, he was, as long as he was allowed to game for about an hour beforehand, he did his homework without any protest or pushback. And all around, he just seemed a lot calmer and was having a lot less in the outburst arena. And I know that's a little off track. It's not autism related, but it just goes to show you that video games can be used for such phenomenal purposes, from developmental skills to helping to cope. Sometimes it comes down to that, and that's definitely worth its weight in gold. No, I think I chewed everyone's ear off. I can't think of anything. You're just a little rusty, that's all.
Rusty, I bit a non-blinking ghost monster. that gives you an idea how bad I am right now.
That's alright.
Let people know we're gonna go ahead and edit the video as the first 6 minutes were silent.
Yes, we will be cutting out the first 6 minutes of this video, as Mike left the mute button on by accident. And so lots of really good conversation was just gone. But he's going to go ahead and close out this session. Please do visit our website. Check out that blog about whether or not your kids should game during the school week. Naturally, you know, that's within limits, in moderation. And at Family Gamer Review, we believe that the more involved you are with your kids' gaming, it's just such a win-win-win situation. And so definitely keep up with us, subscribe to our channels. You can find us literally on any of them: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, and of course, again, our website, familygamerreview.com. And tune in with us tomorrow night. Mike will be twitching Pac-Man Championship Edition. And a little teaser for tomorrow night. I'm hoping that Mike will give a little bit... Yeah, leave the microphone on, but also give a little bit more of the scandalous history. The special needs community really perked up when it came to Pac-Man, but also what happened when Championship Edition came out, because it sparked a little debate in the special needs community. And so it should be a little bit of a spicy twitch. And see you tomorrow night. Thank you. No, he's fine. He's just a little rusty. So thanks for tuning in. Have a fabulous night.